Hi. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Intentional Oversharing. I'm Neely, your host, as always. It's We got a little bit different of a setup now. I mentioned during, I think, my last episode that I had been considering upgrading my recording situation, and I was able to find a really great deal on a DJI Osmo Pocket 3 creator combo. So that means I have an upgraded camera situation, as you can see, and I have an upgraded mic situation. There's other stuff that this creator combo came with, but I'm still just like learning everything. This has the option to like follow an object, so I set it to my face. We'll see how this all works out. Bear with me. Bear with, please. But I just wanted to record an episode and check in. There is something that happened yesterday that honestly I'm still processing quite a bit. And I wanted to just kind of share a little bit about it, process a little bit about it out loud. And yeah, we'll just see where this takes us. But so yesterday I had a ketamine assisted therapy session, which I do my ketamine sessions at home now. Usually I do them like unsupervised. I do them alone, and then I do like integration therapy with my therapist a couple of days after. So I'm seeing her tomorrow, and I'm planning on talking to her about all of this. But I took a higher dose. Still, like, I have kind of a range that I've been given the go-ahead to take each time I dose. And I usually, lately, I've been doing a session like every other week. So I took the higher end of my allotted dose, and which it's important to mention that this is the same amount that I took the last time. So 2 weeks ago, I took the same amount. Okay. It was a higher amount for me, but I took it and it went super smoothly. It was totally fine. It was, the session was the way that they normally are, I guess, is like the best way that I can kind of describe it. But this time, my wife was at work yesterday, and so I was alone at home doing this. And to say that it was scary and intense is an understatement. It was easily the scariest and most intense ketamine session I've ever done. It was definitely what would qualify as like a K-hole, if anybody is familiar with that. I would even say like I experienced the closest I've ever come to like ego death, if you're familiar with that phrase. I'm not an expert on any of these things, so like keep that in mind. But for the most part, my most intense sessions to date have been the ones that I did in office, like in the clinic with my prescriber. I did like 4 of those almost 3 years ago, whenever I first started doing ketamine, for like trauma healing and complex trauma, all of that good stuff. And after I did those first like 4 in-clinic sessions, I ended up getting the opportunity to do at-home sessions. So instead of doing like the intramuscular injection, I started doing the troches at home. And that's what I've been doing ever since. So when I would do those in clinic sessions, those were pretty intense, very much dissociated from my like physical form during those. I would have previously considered most of those sessions, if not all of them, to have been like a K-hole or something like that. Anyway, what happened yesterday was on another level. I'm not talking about this to try to like scare anybody or to dissuade you from trying ketamine assisted therapy. This is one of the most transformative things that I've added to my like therapeutic regimen in the last few years. And I wouldn't like try to discourage you from trying it if you are interested in trying it. Obviously, you know, that's up to you. But I'm just still kind of trying to process what happened yesterday. So basically what I tend to do is I'll take it, and then as I'm letting it kick in, I'll pull like tarot cards and kind of set an intention for my session, and I'll set up my whole space. So what that usually entails is I'll put on the TV in the bedroom, I'll put on like sort of loud either like music or brown noise or something that can help to keep my pets calm while I'm in the session, because if they are up and barking and activated, that can be really jarring when I'm on ketamine, basically. So I did that like I normally do, and I got my face mask, my eye mask for the session, and I got these headphones, and I chose some music for these headphones. I like to choose like bilateral stimulation kind of music without words. That's my preference usually. And so I chose all of that, and I was pulling my tarot cards, and while I was pulling my tarot cards, I felt it kick in like really, really intensely, to the point where I had to lay down and get comfortable like as soon as possible. So, that's weird. That's not, I mean, for a higher dose, that's kind of what happened last time, but this was just like so fast and so intense that it was jarring and unexpected. And not only that, but then after that, I was like at least a full maybe hour. I mean, time was kind of lost to me during this time, but it was at least like an hour, maybe like 90 minutes or 2 hours even. I wasn't really paying attention to the time, but I was like stuck in this other realm, and it was terrifying is like the best way that I can describe it. I was fully dissociated from my physical body, which can be scary on its own. But I was like, my mind was just like going really fast. It kind of felt like I was being, like I've described in other podcast episodes, or described in other times, how sometimes it'll feel like I'm on like this, like I'm riding a wave of like kinetic sand, and I'm a grain of sand, and I'm surrounded by like my kinetic sand like family and they're like, come on, we gotta go, like we're on a mission, like we need you. And that has always felt very kind of like supportive and pretty safe, even though I'm dissociated when that's happening. That kind of feeling doesn't always happen to me, but this time it was like I was riding a wave, but I felt more alone and more isolated than I've ever felt in my whole life. which is saying something. Like it felt very dark, like brightness wise, it was very dark. I was thinking about, um, I was thinking a lot about like the current political situation and feeling kind of stuck, like not really knowing what to do. I was thinking about like what could possibly happen, like the worst case scenarios, which normally for me, the ketamine sessions tend to feel very like positive, optimistic, uplifting. So that was weird that I felt so, I was like thinking so much about like really intense, like negative things. That's not super common for me. Um, and another strange part. So normally I don't get very much nausea with the way that I take my ketamine. I do have Zofran that I can take that's prescribed to me just in case, but I didn't take that because I normally don't take it. And it's usually fine. And this time, like in the middle of all of this happening, I found myself like stumbling toward the bathroom. I ended up throwing up, which is like, it's one thing for me to be nauseous, but it's another thing for me to actually throw up. So that was really weird. And I was like collapsed on the bathroom floor. And like I said, I was dissociated from my own body. So like when I did like lift up the eye mask to look around, I felt like it was just I was just a pile of limbs on my bathroom floor. And which was just weird. And then I felt like I wasn't like in my own body. I couldn't like feel any of my body until I like would have to pause and throw up a little bit. Maybe TMI, but you know, the name of the podcast is Intentional Oversharing, so probably not too surprised by that. But yeah, so it was very scary. If I'm being completely honest, while it was happening, I was very concerned that I might have accidentally overdosed because this just was so much more intense and terrifying than I've ever experienced. And I've been doing this for almost 3 years, like all different kinds of dosage. I've been doing ketamine therapeutically. So yeah, it was very scary. I'm still processing that whole thing. I remember thinking as I was dissociated on the floor of my bathroom that I was like considering, you know, what is my wife going to do if she comes home from work and I'm passed out or worse? Should I call 911? What would I even tell 911 if I did call them? I didn't know if they would like believe me or take me seriously. I was just thinking about all of this stuff, which is, I don't normally think about this. Normally I feel very like light and like free and like optimistic while I'm doing ketamine and then afterwards. And this time I was just basically a wreck. Like I was recovering from this the whole rest of the day. I still feel like I'm kind of recovering from it mentally a little bit. And I still haven't, like, I tend to believe whenever it comes to these ketamine sessions, regardless of how they go, I tend to believe that there is something that the universe is trying to teach me, or a lesson that that I need to learn, or something I'm healing from, or whatever. And with this, it was genuinely like I'm having trouble figuring out what that lesson was. I will say it helped me to realize, because I've always had a very complicated relationship with death. There have been a lot of deaths, like unexpected ones in my life. Like I've lost friends, you know, at like very young ages, unexpectedly. And I've always been like very afraid of death. And basically what I will say is that this session really seemed to highlight that fear. The whole time I kept thinking, I'm not ready for this to be the end. Like, no part of me is ready. I don't want to die. And I kept trying to like bring myself back down to earth by being like, everything's okay. Everything is okay. Like, you're going to come out of this. It's not going to be forever. I genuinely felt like I was either going to be stuck in that state forever, or I felt like I maybe would come out of it and be a completely different person, or be like completely changed, maybe not in a good way. Very scary. So like I said, I'm still trying to process this and figure out like what the lesson behind it was. I'm so incredibly like relieved and grateful that I did come out of it, that I am okay. I'm feeling very like thankful and grateful to just still be alive, which if that's the lesson, like I'll take it, right? Like there have been times whenever I've wanted to be dead throughout my life. I've attempted suicide before. And I'm not like ready to give up yet. So if that's what I can take out of this, that's fine. I'll take it. But holy shit, you guys, like really, really scary, really fucking scary for me. So I just wanted to share a little bit about that. Like I said, I'm still processing it. So we'll see. Maybe I'll talk more about it if I get any clarity, especially after I see my therapist and talk to her about it tomorrow. But yeah, so I'm going to pivot a little bit from that topic. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about something that's not as heavy, and that's more kind of positive. So over the last couple of weeks, shit has been popping off on LinkedIn. I don't know if anybody who, I mean, I'm sure that people that are watching this podcast episode or listening to it, some of you have found me or had found this podcast from my LinkedIn. And so you might already be familiar with what I'm talking about. But there's just been like multiple movements rooted in authenticity that are essentially converging right now on LinkedIn. And it's a really beautiful thing. It really feels like not only is it a long time coming, but I don't know. LinkedIn is my favorite social media platform. I've talked about that before. I've talked about that. I don't care if that's cringe because I just love it there. My community there is phenomenal, and they have helped me so much to get to where I am today with like my confidence level, self-esteem, like all of that stuff. Love you guys. But this movement on LinkedIn has been really exciting. So there's like this weird LinkedIn movement. People have been talking about this guy who is a marketer at the Noun Project. His name is Nick Power. Everybody's been tagging him in their posts. And he's just like a nice, like authentic guy who avoids using capital letters and just like types like he's sending a text message like to a friend. Super cool guy, it seems. And so people are like rallying around him. He went viral sometime in the last couple of weeks and has just been riding that wave ever since. And yeah, there's just these multiple people kind of being a lot more authentic, a lot more deliberately like unapologetic, loud themselves on this platform has a reputation for being stuffy and like overly concerned with professionalism, whatever the fuck that means, right? It's bullshit. I've always known it's bullshit. I've been waiting for something like this to happen, and I really hope that it just continues to to like grow, and that people continue to kind of drop the mask online in these spaces. Like, we're trying to show whoever cares, whoever's paying attention, that just because we're weird, or just because we're being ourselves, just because we're telling jokes, just because we're being silly, any of those things, it doesn't mean that we're not employable. It doesn't mean we're not hireable. It doesn't make us less professional. Like, you can be yourself and still be hireable. Like, all of this whole idea that you need to like literally put on a mask and pretend to be a different person online, and that's the only way that you can get a job, or that's the only way that people will respect you. Fuck all of that. Fuck that. So I don't really know what this is going to lead to. I'm not sure what this will turn into ultimately. But I'm just along for the ride. I'm enjoying it. So if you are, if you have a LinkedIn account and maybe you like hate going on there, just know that that things are changing, and people are resisting, and they're being loud about it, and join in on the fun if you want to, or if you feel like you're capable of doing that. I never want to, when it comes to platforms like LinkedIn, like, I'm being myself on there. I'm trying to unmask on there, all of those things. I never want to try to tell anybody else how to live their life. If you don't feel comfortable or safe to unmask or be yourself on a platform like that, that's okay. Like, I get it. We've all been there. We all have been there. That's why this is even a thing now, because we don't want to be there anymore. But I'm never trying to say like that you need to be a certain way or show up a certain way. I'm never trying to police anyone else's content unless it's like straight up hate speech, right? Or bullying. But yeah, like, if you like, you might just feel inspired, or you might feel less alone if you start kind of following these movements and maybe commenting, or just connecting with people, talking to them in the DMs, getting to know other people that are looking to be more authentic. It doesn't just have to be about posting authentically. It's just about building community, right? So I wanted to talk a small bit about that, because that's been taking up a whole lot of my brain space and attention over the last couple of weeks. And I really just appreciate it, if I'm being completely honest. It's just really kind of exciting, and I'm loving it. Along with that, another social media thing that's going on with me is I'm trying to show up more, and ideally get more of a following on TikTok. Who knows how long TikTok is going to stick around in the US, or how long we'll keep having access to it. I know all of that's up in the air, but I just decided, this is like a missed opportunity for a community that I haven't fully like jumped into head first. I wasn't unmasking or being my authentic self on LinkedIn. I was showing up. I was still like being myself when I showed up, but I just wasn't like popping in just to like share my thoughts, like I see some people do. And now I'm trying to do that. I'm trying to post daily if I can, when I have the energy to, sometimes multiple times a day. And even though like it's taken a long time for me to like get any followers, just I can see it shifting, just me showing up more, and me following people back and responding to DMs, and not putting so much of a wall or a barrier between myself and other people on there. Because how else am I supposed to start a community if I'm scared? If I'm too scared to like actually interact with people, right? Like, that's not how it works. That's never how it works. So I'm excited about that. We'll see where that goes. I posted on TikTok recently about I'm wanting to put together a group to, not like a book club, more of like an accountability group about the book The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. It's a book about like reconnecting with your creativity in like a spiritual way. Honestly, I have a complicated relationship with spirituality. I have a lot of religious trauma from Christianity, being raised Baptist, and I don't identify as a Christian. There's a lot of religious themes in this book. If you aren't familiar with it, she talks about God and all of those things. She talks about it a lot, and I have made it a point in my mind. I'm going to essentially kind of replace those terms, any terms that make me feel uncomfortable, with like terms that feel more comfortable to me. So like the universe or myself or whatever feels right at the time. So I just wanted to mention that because when I do create this group, like I'm not going to make it heavy on the religious stuff. So do with that information what you will. But really the whole kind of framework, and you may have heard about Dochi bringing attention to this book recently, because before she blew up in the last year or so, about 5 years ago, before the pandemic, she came out with a series of YouTube videos where she just explained her experience with going through this book's framework. And basically, it's about, so like the basis of the framework is that each day for 12 weeks, you're supposed to brain dump, like first thing in the morning, 3 pages worth of just whatever is in your brain. It doesn't have to be important. It doesn't have to be significant. It doesn't have to be profound or well written. It's literally just whatever is in your head. So even if you're just writing over and over, I don't know what to write. I don't know what to write. Like that's still brain dumping and that still counts. And you don't have to like do anything with these or show them to anybody ever again. Like it's just to empty out your head first thing in the morning. And then she also has weekly artist dates where you're basically, she tells you ways that you can reconnect with yourself, you can reconnect with your inner child, go out into nature, all those different kinds of things, just to kind of foster closeness with yourself a little bit and reconnect with your creativity. And so I've listened to the audiobook of this, and it's a really cool framework, and I think that I would really benefit from it. So that's why I'm hoping to do some sort of an accountability group to help other people to stick with it or to get whatever they can out of it. Right now in my mind, I'm hoping to create like a Discord, either its own Discord server or probably have a space dedicated in my current Discord server for Weird and Wired, for daily check-ins so people can check in. And then I might do like a pay what you can or donation-based type subscription for weekly, maybe 90-minute Zoom calls where we talk about the artist dates that we're supposed to be doing weekly and like check in on our progress. I want to make this very accessible, especially because this is something that I also want to do for myself. And so, yeah, maybe I'll do this more than once. Who knows? Like, we'll just kind of see how it goes. But that's what I'm thinking for now. More information to come on that. I'll try to keep you guys posted on that. If you're interested, definitely let me know in the comments or wherever, if this is something that you would want to possibly join. On a similar note, so that's The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron, an accountability group that I'm trying to put together. I have several people on TikTok that are interested. I'm hoping to make that a thing in the next coming weeks. Aside from that, my other book club that happens weekly, that's been happening, we had our last session last week over the book that we were reading, How to Keep House While Drowning by Casey Davis. It was phenomenal. It was so great. I highly recommend that book to anybody. If you haven't read it, please just take some time for yourself and read it. It's pretty quick. Lovely book. Highly, highly, highly recommend. It was great. We did a poll with the members of the group, and in less than 2 weeks, it'll be, let's see, actually in a little bit over 2 weeks. So April 17th, we're going to take a hiatus between now and then, but April 17th, we'll be starting on our next book. So please sign up so you can get updates about that and join us for the next book. But we'll be reading Empire of Normality, Neurodiversity and Capitalism by Robert Chapman. I felt like this was a very relevant and timely topic right now. So we're going to be doing that book next. Please feel free. I'll put the link in the comment, or a link in the description to sign up for that. It's free to join, free to attend. You don't always have to be caught up on the reading whenever you join. If you feel like you can just come in and get something out of the discussion, you're more than welcome to do that. It's intended to be a safe space for neurodivergent adults. So yeah, that'll be happening April 17th. Would love to have you there if you're interested at all. And I still have my weekday body doubling sessions happening for free. Yeah, that's what's going on. Also sign up in the link in the description for a 30-minute free discovery call with me if you're interested in ADHD coaching. Yeah, I'm here for building this community, for helping my fellow ADHDers with being more unapologetically themselves, and whatever else that you're hoping for some support with, I'm here for that. So those are just some updates on what's going on in my world at the moment. And I just wanted to take some time to check in with you guys. Thank you as always for listening. Thank you for being here. Let me know what you think about the new recording setup. Yeah, and that's really all I had for today, you guys. Love y'all. Thanks again. Bye.